Hello and welcome to the News Minute. Last week in Public Interest, we brought you a story about how crude oil prices are going down globally, but the benefits are not being transferred to the public, and hence the public is paying through the roof. And this week we have shifted our focus towards the banks. The RBI has issued guidelines for ATM transactions. To talk about this, I have with me Thomas Franco. He is the former General Secretary of All India Bank Officers Confederation and someone who knows the banking system very well. So thank you so much for talking to us. Before I go across to him, here is a quick reminder. News Minute Tamil and News Laundry, we are a complete ad-free platform. We are not dependent on government ads or ads from political parties or corporate houses. We are dependent on you, the viewer. So if you like our work, if you want us to continue doing this, do become a paid subscriber of the News Minute and support independent journalism. Sir, the RBI guidelines, what kind of impact it is going to have on the general public? Because this is concerning the ATM transactions.
See, the ATMs, when it was introduced, we told the customers that it is a free service. You can take money anytime, 24 hours. So don't come to the bank. You collect money from there, it's easy. And no extra charges. But subsequently, these ATM transaction charges have been introduced. The ATM charges are like this. For the viewers, customers to know, I would like to explain this in detail. It says that if you are transacting in your own bank's ATM, in a month you can have maximum 5 transactions. And if you are transacting in a other bank ATM, if it is in the cities, it is 3 transactions. And if it is in the outside city areas, up to 5 transactions. Here 2 clarifications are needed. Number 1, you cannot have 5 transactions in your own bank ATM and another in 3 or 5 in another bank. Totally it is only 5. Number 2, they classify as finance transaction and non-finance transaction. Most of the public don't know the difference. Finance transaction is for taking out cash. Non-financial transaction is enquiring your balance.
So even if you check your balance, that will be considered as a transaction.
Yes.
And that's all, the limit is done.
Once you are taking out the money, the ATM itself is asking you a question. Do you want to see your balance? Happily you just click yes. That is counted as another transaction. So if you are doing 3 withdrawals and every time you check your balance, it becomes 6 transactions. So automatically from the 6th transaction onwards, you have to pay 23 rupees plus GST of 18%.
Yeah, plus taxes.
Yes. Now, some people might think that what is this, just 21 rupees to 23 rupees, what is the difference? What will be the impact is that once you are keeping on increasing, the faith in the system goes. People, especially in rural, semi-urban areas, who were taking money only for small amounts because they don't want to carry cash, 500 rupees, 300 rupees, 1000 rupees. Now, because of this restriction, they will have to take more cash and keep at home, which is again a security risk. Secondly, because this restriction is coming, they will now decide that, okay, let me go to the bank and transact my business. All the banks, especially the public sector banks, are understaffed. And one reason for understaffing was that, you have so many digital facilities including ATM, why have so many staff at the counter?
So now we are living in digital India, so you don't need staffs.
Yes.
It can be done through digital. That's the idea.
That's what has been propagated for so long. and staff strength has been reduced. So then the pressure mounts on the staff that people have to go there. Now, if it is a little more amount they are keeping, say 5,000, 10,000 rupees, they would like to have a checkbook so that every time you don't have to go and stand, write down the withdrawal and take money by yourself alone. Checkbook you can send through a bearer, he can go and transact. So if you are taking a checkbook of say 10 leaves, you have to pay 40 rupees. If it is a checkbook of 25 leaves, you have to pay 75 rupees. So there again your expenditure is going up. And though this 21 to 23 2 rupees increase seems small, as per the 2023 report, every day there are 6 billion transactions in the ATMs in India. There are 2,55,000 ATMs. 6 billion is 600 crore transactions per day. And the amount transacted is rupees 32.9 trillion. That is 32 lakh crores of money is transacted there. Now you are putting that restriction. Naturally, people have to rush to the branches for taking out the money. That is one problem. Secondly, when the transactions, there is a projection that by 2027 it should go up by 8 billion, 800 transactions per day. So, though the 2 rupee increase may appear small, when you count as the number of transactions, it's a huge amount which the banks are going to make.
So what are the other charges that the banks have, service charge and other charges that are levied on each and every transaction?
See, 2023 figure again I am quoting. On ATM transaction charges alone, 8,000 crores has been collected. But then you have something called minimum average balance. So in the minimum average balance charges, banks have collected 21,000 crores in 2023 alone. Though this was introduced only, I think, in 2019 in almost all banks, previous to that there was very small amount sometimes collected. And for very small accounts, people don't charge at all. 2020, because of huge appraisal from public, that you are charging so much for a common man. State Bank of India alone withdrew these charges in 2000 and they have not reintroduced. But all the other banks, public sector, private sector, this minimum balance charge is one major area. You put some 1,000 rupees, they keep collecting some money, say 50 rupees every month. One fine day you go to the bank and find that your money has come down to 500 rupees. You tell the bank that, okay, I am fed up, you close the account. They charge 500 rupees as closing charges.
Okay.
So who is affected in all this is common man, who are lower middle class, upper middle class, who are the actual owners of the bank, I will say. If you see the balance sheet of banks, banks are run on the deposit of the people. They don't have capital. They are taking your deposit, giving us loan, and they are making profit out of it. So a person who has just deposited some money in his savings bank account, you give only 2% or 2.5% as interest. And he doesn't keep minimum balance, you again charge. If the number of transaction goes up, you have some charge called transaction charges. Number of check leaves increase, then you have again check leaf charges. This is an injustice, I feel. As per one of the RBI reports, 83% of the deposits are small household deposits. And for those people, if you keep charging so much, they will once again switch over to other avenues. Maybe keep it in a box, maybe keep it with relatives. Why should they put their money here and keep paying charges for that? This will be an impact on the banking system as a whole. It may not take place overnight, but over a period of time we have seen that the faith in the system has started going down after demonetization. Now you keep increasing these charges, there are so many other kind of charges. Safe custody charges, you keep your fixed deposit there, or LIC policy there, safe custody charge. It's all right. For safe custody, safe deposit locker, it's okay. But then you have some transactions getting increased. Again, transaction charges you are giving, whether deposit or withdrawal. Number of transaction, like they only said that you go to bank business correspondent, don't come to the bank. Those fellows are sitting with a board, customer service point, no regular salary, some incentive. They can transact up to only 30,000. Again there, if your transaction is going up for more than 3 transactions, you have to pay extra 15,000 for 15 rupees per transaction. So in all possible ways, these people who are actually the owners of the bank, they are being fleeced. This is the contradiction. This is not the purpose for which nationalization of the banks took place. So RBI has to have a relook.
So how are the rich getting benefited out of these, and why should people who trust in the banking system, who want to have their savings, get punished because they are like putting their money in the banks?
See, number one, those who are rich, they transfer money from bank to bank using a system called RTGS or NEFT. In this, the transaction charges are so low. But for small depositors, you are charging so high. And how the rich are getting benefited, this is something not being talked about much. You go through the Reserve Bank of India website, there is a report quarterly published called the Basic Statistical Returns. In that last year's report, when I had a look, 449 corporate borrowers who have taken loans above 100 crores, they are being given loan at 4% interest. You take an education loan, you have to pay 11%, 12%, 13%.
For home loan, it's...
For home loan, 7.5, 7.8, because it is secured by the house building, so that is there. But for a micro enterprise, small enterprise, banks charge 12%, 13%. Whereas corporate having loan above 100 crores, is he such a poor fellow that you give at 4%? So all these charges and small interest paid to the fixed deposits and savings bank deposit, that is to benefit few corporates. 449, less than 5%. If I see less than 7%, which is lesser than the housing loan interest also, there are some 9,000 people per benefit. So whom are we banking?
Banking for? Whom are we banking for?
Yeah, to support only these corporates who are a minuscule minority. They get all benefits, and it is they who do not repay. You go to the NCLT, the loans are written off. So this is the tragedy of this country in the last many years, which the Reserve Bank should really look at. No bank advertises that we are giving loan at 4%. But it came up in all the newspapers that Tatas, the poorest in this country, they get 10,000 crores for buying Air India at 4% interest rate. This is the contradiction. What we need is the farmers to get cheaper credit, The MSMEs who are the major employers, employment generation is done there, they should get lesser. But them we are charging high and we are charging less for the corporates who don't create much of employment also.
So you talked about, it may sound as a very, minor hike, 2 rupees or something like that, or even the interest charges. But how does it affect a common man, like in this entire system, because of this system?
See, the common man, as I said, they are in the savings bank deposits and current account deposit is one of the major portion of the money banks are. Almost 40 to 45% is called the CASA deposits, current account and savings bank deposits, savings account deposit. Current account, bank does not pay any interest at all. Okay, that is for rich, we can say. Even for trusts, they are asking to have only current accounts. But savings bank, they give you interest on the minimum balance between the last 10 working days. By that time, whatever saving you might have withdrawn. So even if you had kept money for 29 days, 30th you are withdrawing, you don't get any interest at all. So that way the people are getting affected, number one. Secondly, the people who have to get cheaper credit, they are not getting cheaper credit. That is affecting the whole economy. See, the rich, they get a big loan, they may not spend immediately. But a MSME borrower, farm loan borrower, he will immediately spend that and it has an impact on the economy. There is a multiplier effect, which will not happen if they keep on doing this. And people will switch over to other, there are nidhis available, there are chit funds available, there are mutual funds available. So people will switch over there. So that will finally affect the banking system. And that is the danger RBI should foresee, which they are not saying. And the borrower, especially the MSME and the farmers, where are they getting the credit now? They are going to the non-banking financial companies, for which the Reserve Bank has said that there is no need for any interest ceiling. Earlier there was an interest ceiling of 36%. Last year they have removed that. And there are studies which are saying that there are people paying 50% interest, 60% interest.
So that's because they have gone to the non-banking.
Yeah, because you are not making small credit available. You have reduced the staff, which has made it impossible for banks to cater to small borrowers. They concentrate on the larger borrowers. And people are sent to the non-banking financial companies. Earlier, non-banking financial companies could not get credit from the banking system. Now, RBI is monitoring. You give more fund to non-banking financial. Earlier, we had a very simple principle. You cannot give loan for giving another loan. But that is exactly what is happening. So, there is a correlation between all this. There is a vicious cycle. So, Reserve Bank has to come out with alternatives, encourage small depositors with higher interest rate, small fixed deposits with higher interest rate, and these service charges, at least for the small depositors, it should be waived. You only told them to go digital, and when they go digital, then you are charged.
There are some changes that they have brought in UPI also, UPI transactions.
Yes.
Because they said after demonetization, people prefer, doing transactions via UPI, cardless, cashless transactions and all that.
Now they have started charging
For that.
for the UPI transactions, and so far this GPay and all, we are not paying any charges. Very soon I am anticipating it to come, because in some other countries they have already, Google has started charging. It is always like this, no? You attract saying free, 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 come, come, come. And once you get used to it, you cannot avoid that, and then they start charging. So, these transactions and all, when you give so much of concessions to the corporates, the new rich, 10% of the population in this country has all kind of comforts. For them you give every concession, but to the 90% you charge all this. This is something has to stop.
So what has happened in the banking system in the past 10 years? Because we have seen dramatic changes that have taken place. Is it because the policies that are being brought by the union government, or it's the RBI that is taking independent decisions? What is?
Today RBI is no more independent. It is dependent on the government. 2016, when large borrowers were not repaying, the Reserve Bank came with this declaration of 12 large creditors, borrowers who have not repaid, published that. After that, they issued a circular saying that the bank should not lend to a particular corporate above 10,000 crores. All banks together in a consortium. Till date, it has not been implemented. Who has to oversee? It is the RBI. RBI has even taken out the circular from its website. So, they are encouraging the corporate credit more. They said by going to the National Company Law Tribunal under the Insolvency Bankruptcy Code, you will get money recovered very quickly. But there what is happening? Only in the name of haircut, write off, write off, write off. Anil Ambani has an outstanding of 46,000 crores. The company is taken over by Mukesh Ambani, paying only 2% of the amount. Just 450 crores instead of 46,000 crores. So, this is all happening because of the government RBI collaboration. Again, the deposit rate I was saying, there was a time 18% interest we were paying for the fixed deposits, senior citizen, others 17%. At time also banks were making profit, but now you have brought it down to 6.5%, 7%. Now it is further going down. So the small depositors are getting affected. It is purely because of the government's policies collaborated by the Reserve Bank of India. Again to the credits. Why can't RBI say that for the education loan borrowers, especially small loans, 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 2 lakhs, give it at a concessional rate of interest? Earlier there was a condition which it still operates but it is not implemented. 1% of the total credit in the bank should go to the weaker section of the society at 4% simple rate of interest. That RBI is not monitoring. So, most of the banks are not doing that. So, you are deviating from the purpose of nationalization and the goals of the constitution, bringing down the inequality. That is not happening today. And one side you are forcing banks not to increase the staff. Another side you are saying give more Mudra loan, more PM Swanidhi loan. I welcome, we should give. But those loans are not being given to the right type of people.
So it's not being repaid.
Most of the loans are not getting repaid. So banks depend on the credit guarantee scheme and get some money. So the policies of the government, in simple term, what I would say is that it has to change. Instead of supporting a minuscule minority, support the majority. Reverse the policies accordingly. Then only this country can prosper. The constitutional goals can be achieved.
Right, sir. Thank you so much for joining us and giving your views on an important issue that people may not even realize that it's affecting them. So, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much.